I'm Vanita Menon from Myeloma Friends Charitable Trust, and we are very happy to be here, Dilip and myself, because any organization needs a foundation. If you want to work, it really needs a base, and it needs a huge base. Lung Connect has already made its base from at least the last 6 years, and the kind of work I think Sandeep ji and Vivek ji and all of them who have been associated with Lung Connect can already be seen with the kind of reach they already have. But any organization, for it to sustain itself, needs a foundation. And how do you go about it? One of the things that is rather the most important thing is you need to make a start. And you need to make a start as a body. Nobody can really even think about you. Yes, you are Lung Connect, but do you have a registration? Are you a registered body? Can you be contacted at one address? Do you have your own office? Do you have your own charitable commissioner's requirements? Now this becomes the core of your existence. And this core is extremely important. So as a group, I would like to thank my group first, our mentor Prabhat ji, who really took it on himself to be able to control it and give us and bring out the best from us. So we've just got 5 points. I'm going to go through 5 points, but they actually are the life of Lung Connect, because how Lung Connect will go ahead is this will be what will be decided. So the first thing that came ahead was, how does Lung Connect work? Does it work with somebody? Does it work independently? The eventual consensus was that it needs to have an independent body registration. I am sure in the kind of 6 years that the work has been done, this definitely may be on top of their head to say, no, we need to be number one in the country, number one globally, as the only body that can represent lung cancer in India. The premium body where every single patient can go to their website. Because once you have an organized body, you have your registration, you need a website, everything will come in place. So the first thing was an independent body registration. Now in this independent body registration, we had two options. One was whether it needs to function as an NGO, which I'm sure I think it is already functioning like one without a formal registration. And two, I think it was like a Section 8 company where you can take in CSR funds. Now this would definitely depend upon the kind of model that you are looking at. From what I see for Lung Connect, you have various verticals which are very important to you. And one of them is being completely patient-centric. So when you're patient-centric, funding becomes extremely important to be able to carry out the activities that you're going to have for the future. How are you going to decide what are the amount or what are your budgets that they say? You already have a lot of budgeting where donors are coming in with the kind of treatments that you have. The money already coming in from there. So you will have about 3 or 4 verticals, and in these 3 or 4 verticals, you will need to have heads for it. So it's the governance and the advisory body. Now, depending upon what your model is, whether your model is something where one of your verticals is patient-centric, second, your vertical is fundraising, third, your vertical is for donations, fourth, your vertical is for activities, and fifth vertical is how are you going to psychologically deal with people, what are the kind of skills that you'll be able to share with them. I think yoga was there, music therapy was there. So these are various verticals that would have to be within the framework of your registration. Secondly is defined as the kind of scope. Lung Connect has a huge scope. I mean, everybody has lungs. We are talking about lungs constantly from even the point of view of the environment. Trees are being cut. Air pollution is going to a different level. My own daughter, the minute there is dust, she's down with a severe allergy. You're popping in Allegra, Ebacil, God knows what. So every family has a problem with the lungs. Every family at some point in their lives need to go to a pulmonologist. They need to go to an allergy specialist. Later on it goes to cancer, that's a different matter. So your basic thing, as they said, was prevention. So again, what is your scope? The definition of scope. So this will actually come in your articles, your memorandum of understanding. What are the areas that you're going to this thing? And I would say deciding on your budgets and your finances is the first and most important factor, because you have a huge scope in terms of being able to fund patients. How are you going to fund them? Who is going to fund them? When are they going to be funded? That is one aspect. After that you come, we were talking about chapters. We as myeloma friends are also looking at chapters. As Dilip had mentioned, he's the founder trustee, he mentioned that we're already in about 8 or 9 cities. We plan to expand to every single city in Bombay which requires assistance. There will be a myeloma patient in every city. Does it get access? No. He may be able to go to AIMS, he may be able to go to PGI, Tata Memorial, but across the country in a smaller city, how will we get connected? So chapters are very important, and chapters being patient-centric. Resources, you can take up various topics. So these are the resources that will come in. Secondly, focus on generating funds. I think that is the most important thing of any NGO or any kind of organization who is in this field. So now this needs specialized, I would say, inputs, professionals, as well as the fact is that we all need to look at generating funds. So I think this is where it comes, but the first and the most important thing is the decision to decide whether you work as an NGO or a Section 8 company, or how do you do, what is the scope of your model. So thank you very much. I think I would like to, I'm sure I haven't met Vivek ji and Sanjeev ji this thing, but congratulations to whatever that you have done. I know how difficult it is. We've had an 11-year journey. I am a survivor for 11 years. I was diagnosed in 2011, but I would say myeloma has given me the life. I have never thought that cancer is a problem. It took me just 4 days to accept it, and I was done after that. Google definitely helped by saying that you only have 5 years to live. It is now 11 years, and we have patients. I would like to take his name. His name is Mahendra Bhanushali. He's just about gone through everything. He's gone through an ASCT, he's gone through a stem cell transplant, he's gone through an allo, he's gone through an haplo, and he is doing amazingly well. He's taking part in the Tata Marathon as a senior citizen. So,
we have a patient who has relapsed for 8 times and he is doing wonderfully well, like he is normal. Absolutely normal. I myself have relapsed for 3 times, 2 bone marrow transplant, 1 spine surgery. Presently, I am on a maintenance and in complete remission.
I've had 2 relapses. I've had one ASCT. I'm on maintenance, but it has not dimmed my enthusiasm or my passion to see that myeloma friends will reach to every single person in India and globally. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
If and when the team decides to go ahead on any of the route, we as a group of individuals as an organization can help you to set it up end to end. We have done that for a lot of people. In case you desire, we can set it up and also defray some of the initial operating costs to just get people going. In case you decide to go that route. Many today don't, because if you want a foreign funder to fund you, you can forget it. FCRA clearances are done. And if you're a charitable trust, any person being a trustee today, nobody wants to be a trustee because it's an unlimited liability. So you need to think through the pros and cons of it in this era. But in that event, still you decide to go ahead, we're more than happy to help you think through all the pros and cons and come back with it. Actually, it's a great initiative. Unless you're spot on, unless there is a legal entity, unless there is a quote unquote an administrative mechanism, it is very difficult to sustain scale and get a degree of professionalism, as Dr. and others have indicated in the long run.
Yeah, actually that is what gives you the credibility. And I think both Dilip and myself have been through this process, though we are a trust. I I would say that endorsement should come within the patients because they themselves are celebrities. Because their lives and their stories, nobody can ever replicate or duplicate because they can talk from their heart. And both of us have been on a patient-centric, patient group. We both talk, we both counsel, and our stories inspire people. So thank you.
And
I think whenever we are thinking for forming a body, I think the two most important thing which I can think is that patients and their caregivers should be a part of that. They should be part because NGO's member can be there, doctors can be there, but the most important and most influential person in that body will be the patient or their caregivers who wants to contribute some time. Because whenever we see patient innovative, there are some young guys who comes and even like we see lung cancer, bladder cancer, testicular cancer. So in their caregiver are ready to contribute. Sir, हमको कुछ करना है. आप बताइए क्या करना है. So those type of we have to identify those kind of people who can give them at least 3 hours or 4-5 hours in a week for that dedicated side, because then they have the tendency to give some to the society. So it should not be a body of doctors or NGOs. It should be comprised of a patient and their caregiver. That will give the boost to that.
Thank you.
You're spot on. मैं बताता हूँ. Very simple thing. जब हम लोग as a patient हम किसी से बात करते हैं और हमारी story जब share करते हैं ना, that have an impact. That person is enrolled. The other patient and caregiver is enrolled. That's it. Finished.
So, yes, point well taken. Any other comment and any from the experts?
Only one thing is, once it is registered, these groups can also get a accreditation of the global lung cancer support groups, because that helps, because then there are a lot of resources in terms of education and many other things you can also share. So I think now Lung Connect should be part, because India there is no lung specific group. I think ALK positive, Vivek ji and others, they are part, but I think Lung Connect also as a group can be part of those global consortiums.
And, yeah.
Just reading through, maybe I'm jumping ahead. One comment which this Kumar sir had told quite some time back, especially in a lung, what historically has happened in terms of tests is everyone wants a test which is relevant to that particular medicinal therapeutic. Suppose somebody will say ALK or ERP or HER2 or KRAS. Until recently there was no drug for KRAS. So what we are taking a bit of counterintuitive approach. We are saying when you go to an NGS test, especially a large panel, historically it's all been like in an examination, you select out of 10, 3 or 4. So what we are trying to do is you answer all upfront, and it depends on patient's choice of which one he wants to go or don't go. So in an NGS test, what we are trying to do is get a large panel upfront with PD1, PDL1, MSI, TMB, everything. So the patient and or the concerned clinician at a front end has multiple options to go to a pathway rather than whether a particular PAP is available or not available kind of approaches. So we're thinking through this with Kumar sir. We'll probably talk about it offline as to how to execute it. And for that, we can't do it on our own. Platforms like Lung Connect will be a very interesting convening group because they represent the voice of the patient and not any one individual.
Sure. So,
no, there's only one overall comment I have to make on Lung Connect, is that just learning from experience, I think we should be careful not to be everything for everyone. So you have to figure out what is it that you're good at and where is the gap. So that's the only sense I got from we can further talk about how we want to, because the kind of volunteers you will sign up, the kind of employees you will sign up will all depend on what is it that you want to do. And going forward, as you grow, you'll do a lot of activities, but unless you have a track record to show that I have helped 10 patients, 500 patients, it will be a challenge. And how have you helped? So those kind of aspects I think you need to think about seriously now before you start institutionalizing. So your scope should be very clear. This is what I'll do, this is what I'll not do. Maybe because the country is not ready yet. Because from what I understood of clinical trials, it's a massive mountain you may not be able to climb at this stage. So you may have to decide early on what is it that you want to do, what you can't do right now. That's all, yeah.
Just the last part is, registering is definitely important. And I would say that, to add to that, amongst all the points that were mentioned, there should be also a succession plan to how you're going to take the organization ahead. Because, we hear a couple of names when you talk about Lung Connect, but what happens after that? So, that also has to be built in terms of the planning.
Any other last comments? Sure.
The other thing is that whenever we are forming a body, it should be of a multi-cities. So it's not be only in Mumbai. People should from other,
We'll complete
all,
and then you can make a request.
all should be included. It should be a multi-cities should have, so everyone feels connected. Let's not be a Mumbai patient or there one or two. So that will give you some. So I think that you have to think on from that.
So loads of things to think about, and I think loads of things for the core team to come up with a decision, whether it is registering as a body, how do we move as a chapter, defining the scope of what we can do and what we can't do, and where will we limit ourselves. Just to sum up a couple of suggestions which can be readily implemented from these 4 group discussions is, we are looking at regionalizing stuff, translation of stuff and education material so that it's easily accessible to patients. We are looking at spreading awareness, advertising, so including our new partner, trying and enrolling media advertisement experts so that we can spread awareness and reach out to every patient, every caregiver, every person across the country. Including influencers or celebrity experts who can endorse, including in the team trying and getting an accreditation from organizations who will endorse the content which is there and endorse an important, I would say, clinicians and doctors and hospitals endorsing Lung Connect as well. So which will build the credibility of this whole thing. Okay. And yes, it is patient-centric and it is going to be patient-led. So far, that's the route which has been taken, and that's the way forward as well, with chapters, ambassadors, and the path forward. Yeah, over to Usha Didi. Yeah, the panel can come down. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your expert comments.